The scandal around delayed care and secret waiting lists at the Veterans Administration hospitals ratcheted up this week with the announcement of a criminal probe by the FBI. And the Senate broke its gridlock to pass legislation that would allow veterans to seek care from private doctors and expand the VA secretary's power to fire staff for poor performance. It also allots $500 million to hire more doctors and nurses. And at the Albuquerque VA this week, officials said they found 21 people who have died while waiting to see a doctor. Vets at a public meeting recently referred to the process as a cattle call. And Laura, after months of gridlock, it's amazing how the Senate, with the help of our own senator, by the way, Tom Udall, an indication of importance for the issue of lawmakers, or is this more of a CYA kind of a thing that happens in politics? But I'm being a little wise here, but we've got some movement happening at least. And I'm particularly interested in this idea of letting veterans go to other clinics and see other doctors. That's been out there for a while. Progress?
I think it is progress, and of course, sort of to your cynical comment about a little CYA. I mean, I think every piece of legislation has an aspect of that. Of course, it is an election year, and so that's always part of the mix. But I think the Congress needs to do something about this issue. I think there is a lot of public outcry about this, and people are feeling really concerned about what's been happening and the systemic changes, problems that have occurred. So I think it's good to for them to be looking at something on the issue of local, other non, I guess, VA doctors. I think that's an important consideration, something to definitely explore, because especially in areas like New Mexico and rural parts where we don't have as many VA hospitals, not as many opportunities for veterans living in some of those rural areas for doctors to be able to go to some local doctor that's maybe not with the VA but can get care that way is really important.
Julianne, it was interesting to see Congressman Pierce advocate for just what Laura's talking about. He said there's plenty of good hospitals in Lovington and other areas down where he's at. Why are veterans coming to Albuquerque to have a blood test?
Yeah,
it's
I scratched my head a little bit to say, I like that idea from Congressman Pierce. I think that the relationship that you can build with a physician in your hometown, when you have an emergency, they sort of know that it's real. Whereas if you are, in a long line for a physician who doesn't know you, who's already, maybe even not a physician in practice, who's maybe a hospital administrator, you might not get that. You might not be able to raise the flag in time to help yourself. And so I think that could work. And I think it, similar to the other models of healthcare we have for other groups that we, value their care. I think our veterans should have access to all the doctors everywhere. Don't mess with my grandpa.
That's right. Well, Congressman Pierce in the article made a good point that if you're a 70-plus-year-old veteran and you're coming to Albuquerque for an appointment and your appointment is not honored, let's say you're coming from Silver City. You know what I mean? It's a terrible situation. However, this question still stands. Can the VA be reformed in some way, Rob, in your view? Where we can accommodate the 5th largest state in the union that we have here and our unique transportation problems with it. What's your sense of that?
Well, I think that one of the most significant things I think that from this whole VA scandal has been the fact that you've got someone like Bernie Sanders, who's a Democrat, but is admittedly a socialist from Vermont, who's saying let's use vouchers to help get this thing on the right track. And I think that's a major issue here, is that if you've got a system where there is no other alternative, you don't have any competition to go somewhere else, especially if you are the veteran. And that's the other thing, too. In many ways, I think that the VA scandal is sort of similar to the APD scandal, in the sense that you can't deny that there's not a problem anymore. Now we've gone beyond the issue about, there's some exaggerations about about police using too much force. That argument is sailed. It is gone. And the same thing has happened with the VA situation here in New Mexico, Arizona, and across the country. You've got Democrats and Republicans saying, let's fix this. Now the big question is going to be, what can you do to fix it?
Sure. Perception, confidence, all this kind of thing. When it comes out in the reporting, officials at the VA here acknowledged close to 3,000 patients here on this ghost list of a sort, which they push back on the ghost list. But it was a technicality. It still was a list of a sort.
Well, it's still 3,000 plus who had to wait more than 45 days to be seen.
That's
and,
right.
I think they reinforced effectively the lack of primary care physicians that are available. And I think it opens up a conversation, that Congressman Pierce has mentioned, as far as let's find other solutions. I mean, when we look at other solutions provided to our veterans, we already provide telemedicine for PTSD.
That's right.
And counseling treatments. Why can't we, leverage remote hospitals as well? So I think Congressman Pierce brings up a great idea, and Congressman Udall, for really helping to unearth or Senator, thank you. What happened that all of a sudden nobody picked this up?
Right.
Nobody picked this up.
It's interesting, Congressman Pierce mentioned he supported legislation 6 years ago to address some of this stuff.
Yeah.
We had Senator, all our previous senators have been on this as well. It's interesting, yeah.
I mean, there's been rumors of these kinds of problems percolating for a long time,
Sure.
but they've been, as much as people followed them, they tended to be isolated incidents. I don't think it was until recently that they were aware that there was such a widespread problem across different states.
But we've got, the open clinics on weekends now. Something is happening. The VA folks are actually putting some proactive things in place here. You never know what could happen.
Yeah, and there's been, an effort to try to open smaller clinics in Albuquerque, Rio Rancho. There's an effort by the VA to try to get into a more community-based model, which I think is much more effective than what they've done up to now, and maybe takes some of that pressure away from the business as usual of these huge institutions like the VA hospital.
That's right. Is it too bad? I sat here with Senator Udall a couple of weeks ago and asked him, off the air, I said, is it too big to fix, the VA, frankly? Do we need to bust this thing up? Classically it was robbed for physical ailments. Yeah. Now we have a lot of mental health issues. That's not what they're wired to do.
Well, I think that all options should be on the board here. Just like, remember when they broke up the phone company into all the little different baby bells? Maybe there's a way that you can get some strength by separating things from one gigantic blob that is obviously not working.
Sure.
We're talking about 21 people reportedly have died. I mean, this is a big deal. Right. And so if it goes from one big blob to a bunch of smaller, more manageable areas that you can maybe by in a more micro sort of way make things work. You've got to make this thing work.
Sure. Julianne Rahm Emanuel famously said, "Never let a crisis go to waste in politics. You can always use it to your advantage." I have to think folks on Capitol Hill realize it's going to take a ton of money to fix this. And this is the moment, right? This is the moment when you have a crisis to really talk about big numbers. Because the longer it goes on, you ever notice that it just starts to go down? Oh, there's too much commitment. We can't, do that much. Do you sense the political will for the kind of check we need to write to fix this for our VA? Is it out there for us?
I hope so. Yeah. In a place especially like New Mexico where we have an aging population, and someone else mentioned transportation issues, taking care of our elders is an important community value that I don't think anybody is ready to give up on, especially our elders who have served, in the armed forces in our names. And I think that those people vote, and it's important, and I hope that Congress sits up and pays attention.
And it may not be as expensive as you think. I mean, if you've got one system with no competition, there's probably a lot of ways. So maybe it's less expensive to make this thing work in a different way.
And if you're going to a doctor in Roswell and you live in Roswell, instead of driving to Albuquerque and getting that gas stipend, I don't know what the scale of the savings could be, but I think that could be a good point.
I just want to quickly address something that you had mentioned. I don't think that pulling out the checkbook is quite the answer yet. Okay. I think that there's a lot. The operations as a whole needs to be taken a look at. Maybe it's eliminating some of that bureaucracy that created this backlog. Yes, there are more primary care physicians needed, but I don't think the automatic solution is let's pull the checkbook out.
That's right.
I think we need to first look at the organization, what's wrong, and then look at possible solutions.
Sure, quickly if you could.
Well, one thing I'll just say is I think it's we have this concept of the VA hospital being, for our elders and folks who are of a different generation, but we really have a lot of younger soldiers coming back and having a lot of mental health issues, PTSD issues, injuries, other things. So we're talking about a groundswell as we start to scale back in Afghanistan, and we start to see a lot more people coming back home and needing these services.
Right, and as it stands, as reported, I believe it was a 38-day wait for your first appointment for mental health issues. Could you imagine? A lot of things can happen in 38 days. It's a lot. Coming up, author Hank Shaw explains why food tastes better when you gather it or kill it yourself.